Whenever someone does something that is not right, something hurtful, something that is unforgivable, you always tend to react and give them a reaction that will feed into what they are expecting of you as a result of what they did. But it's not about reacting, it's really about how you go on about the situation after they did what they did. You don't always have to react. You don't have to. Most of the time, I'm not saying always because there's situations that you have no other choice but to give a reaction that you might not want to. But most of the time, you have to realize you don't have to feed into their game. You have to let them be and move on. So it's not about reacting, it's about noticing and moving on. You realize that they did that to you. You react in a silent way that will not trigger anything that will not feed into what they are expecting from you, but in a way, in a silent way that will maybe have you not be with them anymore or removing yourself from their game, from their life, from stuff like that, but not you reacting in a verbal way that will get them satisfied. So let's say that there's this person that you were really close with. Okay, you guys were best friends. You guys used to go out all of the time. You guys were always on good terms, maybe little arguments here and there, but really good friendship. And then after a few years, few months, they start to act in a way that you don't recognize from them, in ways that you do not want to deal with in a friendship, in some kind of disrespectful ways, in ways that they don't consider your emotions, or maybe they were really disrespectful to you. You guys maybe had a pretty big argument and they said things that you might not be able to forget. They started calling you names that are really hurtful and that you cannot move past from. You can totally forgive them, but you can't forget. So let's say that this argument gets really verbal, really aggressive, really big. This person is being disrespectful to you, neglecting all the years, all the months that you guys spent together, and just because of this argument, they're disrespecting everything, you and your emotions and everything like that. Nothing is valued, only their feelings, and they're just projecting it and being really aggressive. So, in general, people will tend to react. They will try to defend themselves in a verbal way, aggressive ways. They will also have their voice be at the top, okay? They will start screaming, being loud. They will try basically defending themselves. That's what they think. They will not let that person disrespect them. But when someone is screaming and you're also screaming, there is no peace to it. Nothing is going to be resolved. It's just going to be something that will end up in the wind, in the space. Literally nothing will be resolved. You guys will probably most likely still be in conflict, and so that's how they expect you to react. They expect you to give the same energy back and feed into what they're basically doing and saying. They're screaming, so they're expecting you to scream. They're disrespecting you, so they're expecting for you to get triggered and react. But what I think that people should start to do is just let it be. Stop thinking that to win an argument, you have to say something. Maybe, but you don't have to scream. You don't have to give what they're expecting from you. You don't have to. That's what they want from you, and you're giving it. I truly believe that ignoring is the best answer. But in a situation where it's a back and forth argument and that they're saying something that might trigger you, and that they're expecting for you to respond, I would say that just keep it calm, keep it quiet. And even if you do want to respond in a way that will trigger them. Like if they say something disrespectful, you maybe say, "Why do you think that?" You bring back the argument to them. You bring back that feeling to them. You make them feel what they're trying to do to you or say to you. There's no point in arguing, screaming. All of these words literally don't matter because you're screaming. You guys are not really listening to each other. But if you're calm, if you don't rise, if you don't have your voice at the top, if you just have this normal voice that is not loud, that is just normal, they can maybe start to go back to your level so that you guys can actually have a conversation instead of screaming, screaming, screaming. No one's hearing you out. No one is actually paying attention. No one is actually doing anything. And if they're the kind that will not, that are just really aggressive, they just want to scream, they just want to talk, they just want to trigger, trigger, trigger. You maybe have no other choice but to keep yourself calm, keep yourself quiet, because that's the only way. And because I'm telling you, you're just wasting your time, your energy, basically your energy, all of your energy onto an argument that will not even be resolved. It's just adding more fuel to the fire because no one, I'm telling you that no one is listening to no one when someone's screaming. You're screaming, they're screaming, no one's paying attention. The only time communication works is when someone and someone else are at the same level, not screaming, just paying attention to every single word someone else is saying in a calm setting. And if the other person can't do that, you have to keep yourself quiet. I'm telling you that keeping yourself quiet is not losing. And it's going to make them question why you're not reacting. Because I'm telling you that most people, when they start screaming, when they start getting loud, they're expecting for you to say something. And when you don't say anything, they start to get embarrassed. Or they get more loud because they're like, why is this person not saying anything? And they get more triggered. So have yourself become, do not lower yourself and your values just because someone is reacting that way. You should know how you want to react and how you should always react instead of following their steps. Just because they're screaming does not mean you need to scream. If you know that you're not that kind of person and that you don't have to prove a point, you can literally keep yourself quiet, not say a thing. I'm telling you, not saying anything speaks of volumes. But if they start saying stuff that are crazy, then you can start talking, but not at the same level. You know what I mean? So I think that it's really important to react that way because you're not playing into their game and they're not going to be expecting that. And they could get triggered by it or they could start to talk like you and lower their volume and actually consider having a conversation because there is no way that screaming, being loud, being disrespectful is a conversation. So it is not worth it to even start talking when that's the kind of volume that there is. What's the point? No one, all the words we're hearing from that is bzz, 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 just a fly flying by. No words. Because at the end of the day, no one's gonna remember what someone said. And even if they do remember, they're just going to remember the disrespectful things. They're not going to remember the things that you were maybe trying to say to resolve the situation or anything like that. It's just going to get worse. So there's no point. Just have yourself normal. Talk normally. You don't have to scream like them. You can continue speaking the same way as I am right now. And talk to them. If that triggers them, you can walk away. If it gets really crazy, you can walk away. You can stop talking. You can ignore them. But please just remember to stay calm. You don't have to react the way you always do that or that everyone reacts like in this world. You can just keep yourself calm. That's the best way to go about it instead of escalating something that will go nowhere. So it's not about reacting, it's about noticing and moving on. The person did you wrong, they're not hearing you out, they're not admitting anything they did wrong. You saw how they reacted, you didn't react like them, and you noticed. So you either decide to stay with them, you can decide that, or leave them, find someone better, something better for you, and move on from the situation. because whatever happens, it's not the end of the world. I know that it can be hurtful, but you cannot let them consume all of your energy for something temporary that will, when arguing, get you absolutely nowhere. If you guys can manage to have a calm conversation, that's a conversation, okay? Then have it. But even that, even if someone does you dirty, if they do you wrong, you don't have to react in a crazy way. You just pay attention. You realize what they did. You don't react in a crazy way. You noticed what they did, and you move on with the decision you decided to take, whether it's continuing with them or leaving them for something better. So stay calm. Don't react the way they're expecting you to. Don't fall into their game, and notice and move on. Subscribe and join the community for more content, and I'll see you in the next video. Comment down below for all of your thoughts.